fun. Good night, everyone. Have a good night, and peace out. See you guys. Well, I guess people.
Hello, 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 everyone. 6 deal. Yes.
Well, I'm actually running Windows. I'm running Office 2000 on this computer.
And,
You're the kind of guy who have like a 65. No, it's gonna work fine. Car.
and I'll get all sorts of. No, no, no. That's true. That's very true. Hello, everybody. Here, we can get started here. I should have dealt a hero point to everyone, and those that already had a hero point from last game, you should have two now. If that is contrary to anyone's recollection, just let me know and I can adjust that, but I think that's right. Um, you can save up to two. So now if you sit on those and you end up having them come over into the next game session, then you're maxed at two. So it would behoove. Hmm? No, you can't gift luck effects. I've seen other GMs allow that sort of thing, and I am inclined not to. But per the rules, you cannot. So uh, that is your point to be heroic with, or what have you. So I'm going to do a quick recap, and then we'll pick up here. So when you guys came into the city of Puerto del Sol, you had befriended a bard who was on the ship of Julio Rodrigo named Gabriel Torres. And through Gabriel, you managed to learn a little bit with regards to the Sun-Kissed Isles and the city that you all were going to. But on the ride there, you begin to get a sort of flavor for how the people are and what the society is like, and a little bit of the flavor of the Rodrigo family themselves, who were the ruling house, more or less, of the Sun-Kissed Isles. Them being, of course, beholden to the Kingsland. But beyond that, you guys came into port aboard Rodrigo's barge and or galleon, I should say, and witnessed some of the family drama more so unfold as his Julio's brother Luduc had redonned the mask of the Crimson Highwayman and had a spat with his father over the death of his brother Juan. Uh, Shortly thereafter, Gabriel said, "Yeah, well, let's find an inn for the evening." And there's one right by the docks. So he brought you into the King's Rest, and after a little bit more exposition with Gabriel about the Isles and how the Isles operate, um, you were looking for work or at least some means of staying at the inn for a time period, and the innkeeper offered you to stay at his inn for a week if you clear out his basement of rats. I mean, his rat infestation was quite a that was probably more than a week's worth of inn stays, but I mean, you guys dealt with that pretty handily. Um, well, handily being some of you nearly died to rats, but it's fine. It's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. And that said, we're going to be picking it up pretty much back where we left off at the King's Rest, where you guys were healing up in the basement, if I'm not mistaken, or at least the combat had just finished up. I moved some of the folks into the main room here, although some of your bodies were in the other room. You guys can move yourselves around wherever you'd like to. And I'll remind that Gabriel is not physically there. He is just there for my camera. But that aside, I think that some of you are still unconscious, some of you are uh, barely alive, and some of you are fine. Mm, yep. Hmm. Sure. Sure. What skill would you like to use to try to examine the materials and such? You could probably have a fair arsenal of them, but I don't want to try to suggest one. So, what do you think you have available? Oh yeah, sure. Nature would be absolutely very good roll. So with a 22, you know a number of things with regards to these herbs. These herbs actually have some bit of value on the open market. Um, Whereas some of these might be used in healing poultices and such, some of these herbs actually have, in the right hands, or some would say the wrong hands, some of these herbs look like they would have a nefarious purpose. Some of these would be used to drug people. Some of these could be used to coat a blade to cause a festering wound or to cause poison to move throughout someone's blood system and such. And again, maybe they could be used for antitoxins, but um, looking about here, you're not entirely positive one way or the other, as again, it's just the raw components. You don't see any mixed poisons or mixed antitoxins here in front of you, just the dried out herbs and look through some of the leather cases and it looks like herbalist materials like what you would use for gathering up things like little shears and knives and things of that sort. No problem.
I'm gonna go over and I'm not sure how this works, but I'm going to try to use the medicine to treat wounds on our.
Well, battle medicine is specifically allows you to do it in combat, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, but anyone can use medicine out of combat. Or anyone with the skill, that is. So it's under the medicine skill in
And I'll
the
try to use the archives of death to find some of those. Go back to the old fashioned.
Mhm.
Do you have a healer's tools?
so so if you look at medicine and archives of Nethys, it does go over the trained actions you can take, and one of them is treat wounds.
Oh, I do not have healer's tools, so I can't use any of this stuff.
Yeah, when I was, I haven't finished my outfitting. But I made the minimum things I took was armor, shield, weapon, and I made sure to write down on my sheet that I had gotten a whole healing tools.
Okay.
Can you aid someone who has the healing tools if you have the medicine skill?
So, aiding is not necessarily something that's that great in Pathfinder. There is a task called Follow the Expert, which means that as someone could, if you had an apprentice or someone that you were training up and you were an expert or better, they can assist you. But gone are sort of the days of like three characters saying, "Oh, I aid them. Oh, I aid them. Oh, I aid them." You have to now. Also, you could potentially try to aid, but it's actually a difficult roll, and if you fail, then you take away from his check. So it's very much so built so that you don't try to pile on with five players like going, oh, I aid, I aid, I aid, I aid. It is very much so you need to be skilled in doing it, and also you'll see that there's a number of feats with regards to follow the expert that are make it so that you would need to be specialized to do so. So I believe that you can, but I don't think that it's a good idea.
Damn these logical games, right?
Yes.
Well, I'll try battle medicine.
Okay. So
Same DC as the tree wounds.
it is, and here's the reason why I would say not to use battlefield medicine as opposed to regular medicine. Medicine makes it so that they're immune to a check for an hour. I believe your battlefield medicine can only be used once per day. So and again, you guys are probably going to go to sleep after this, so it likely doesn't matter, but just a fair warning. Battlefield medicine is meant to be used in combat, and it's really, really good, but it also has a very much so like a higher time end on it. Whereas treat wounds just makes them immune to being treated again for an hour. Let me see here.
I'm reading it right now.
I might be wrong on it.
Oh, it is. No, the target is temporarily immune to your battle medicine for 1 day. There it is.
Yep, and you'll see a similar line under treat wounds under the medicine skill. So even if you treated wounds, another person actually can't come over and treat wounds because they become immune to treat wounds for an hour. And again, it prevents five different characters from trying to get lucky on a roll, which is very good. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't hit the 15 necessary to um, actually hit the number to heal. Um, it's not a critical failure, so you don't end up doing damage to him. But that said, you're looking at this as like it's going to probably take a little bit longer term care to actually get this guy back up and running.
The proper way.
Go ahead and give me a medicine check. Yep, no, that does actually.
Sucks.
Hmm. No, no, he's just a an unlikable smarty pants sometimes is what he's saying. So unfortunately, unless magical healing is administered to Kane, you're likely going to have to drag his unconscious body upstairs. Now, 3 actions will heal everyone in the room. 2 actions will put it at range, but also give you a marked bonus to the heal. Mm-hmm. You are correct. Charisma. So the divine font is based off of, now you're hardier in combat than Virgil is, but Virgil
Pretty enough, Jim.
pretty much. He's he's a very big dude.
And lo, even though you do not care for our lives, we truly believe you are the best.
You just hear a huge inhale. His cane shoots up like he just got stabbed with adrenaline. You know, Pulp Fiction style.
I work here is
Reflexively, you know, goes to start swinging before he realizes that he's surrounded by, I guess, friendlies. What happened?
It seems as though some of those rats got the best of you. The swarm overtook you.
I was fighting the swarm. The swarm never hit me. Or it didn't hit me hard. Not to that point.
Maybe it was that big one.
Big one.
there were many rats. There were many rats, my friend. Well beyond all of our accounting. You did well. You fought hard. We all made it out alive.
Honestly, I don't even remember being hit. Who can I thank for this?
Well, if it wasn't for Joe eating you out of the pile, it wouldn't have had a chance for was it Co? Or Grail? It wouldn't. Grail wouldn't have had a chance to get over to suspend your, I don't know, departure.
Stabilize is the word you're looking for. Stabilize.
Right.
I'll pull up one of those really large rats. This is who you have to thank for the wound you sustained.
So for magical healing, medicine check will no longer.
No, a medicine check was done on you already.
Okay, I thought that was battle
You
medicine.
only use
I couldn't have battle medicine.
Sorry, yes, he's right. If you he treated wounds on you or attempted to treat wounds on you, and you become immune for an hour.
And you didn't use medicine. Battle medicine only lasts for like a round or two. Like regular medicine lasts for like an hour.
Copy that. Hey, 13 is a hell of a jump. 0.
Virgil will kind of turn back from the table, look to both Kane and Co. As like the tallest dudes in the room. Gentlemen, I don't mean to break up this instance of budding friendship, but where do you think these giant rats came from? This isn't really a breeding ground for such large, unusually large rodents.
Where are you at?
Okay, go ahead.
I'll look around too. Go as well.
Absolutely.
Curious about this.
Yeah, I will also, Arashi will see. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, oh shit.
You all notice, looking around for evidence of the rats, you notice that the walls down here, mostly stone, but there is some dirt wall capable of being, a method of ingress. Um, Although, the holes that are in them, you're not so far how, they actually go back. But looking around, there's many sacks of grain that have been pretty much defiled and despoiled down here. It looks like they kept a lot of dry goods down here, and it served to help this infestation sort of foster. Some of the crates, it's difficult to say. Maybe the rats came out of them at one point, or maybe they only have those holes eaten into them because the rats worked their way into the crates after the infestation started. That's very difficult to tell. You know that from looking around, this has been like this for at least weeks to months for something like this to grow. uh, even to the down to the lowest perception in the group, you just realize that looking around from the number of like foul little nests that have been built up, the amount of rope, string, other dry goods, rices, grains. It looks like because that they brew on site here, the guy kept a lot of, different barleys and oats and other things of that sort, like bags and bags of them, and most everything down here is ruined, like absolutely, awfully torn through and eaten up with, things all over the floor and such. It's absolutely disgusting. I mean, the smell alone from the rat urine and from the rat feces and things of that sort makes it a little bit like, as you guys have been down here more, it's a little bit more disgusting to have to deal with.
So it seems like no one's been down here for weeks. So it's possible that these rats could have absconded with any number of things that were originally down here.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a few pieces of goods that are roughly fine, and it's still remarkable that some of the herbs on the tables and such have gone mostly untouched. But there's maybe only three or four things in here that are not completely ruined. The rest of it looks like like even the crates and other things of that sort look like this is all trash.
Did we establish light down here or no?
You guys have whatever light source. I believe Virgil has a light source on him.
Virgil's the only one that I know that have light.
Yeah, so if it's still dark, Kane's definitely whipping out the bullseye lantern or whatever.
Okay. One moment, and I will put some light on you as well, sir. So,
Oh, I am not as well-traveled a world-weary gentleman as you are. Is it common for inns to have a sword in a glass case, like a display case in the basement? No, you're perfectly fine. That's the problem with my bilateral list and two people having generally the same sort of naming structure.
I mean, so, okay. That's the
It sounds like a good team.
I don't know much of this society. It's fine for many others. Have I heard any reason why so militant in this area? To have, old standing chained or old adventurer here, I guess.
I think I may have come up with something.
message you on it.
Yep, yep. I can't really think. It's I'm sure it's just something to do with this culture itself.
Interesting.
I'm curious, do they have anything? Do they have anything else?
Yeah, and with that perception check, was that just to see if we could figure out where the rats were coming from, or have we done a thorough search of this basement to make sure there are no rats?
So,
I haven't searched the basement.
so when the entirety of the party says we're looking around, I just assume that you were. No one said I'm looking over the table or I'm looking over the sword or I'm looking over this. So I just assumed that you were all looking around at the rat infestation.
That's fair.
So in the event that there's something specific that you're looking for, I do need to know the specifics on that. And one moment I'm messaging you, Mike, just to update you on that. That is a critical success.
Woohoo! That works. I feel like my microphone wasn't working. I've been talking. Like, wait a minute. Here's me.
No, we just weren't listening.
Well, no, actually, I can tell that I was actually not talking for a change. I'm used to you not listening because it's always a snicker that goes with it.
It's true.
I think if you're asking if there's a militant nature, these islands were founded by pirates, so they definitely would have a militant background.
That makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, I wasn't super up on the current history of the Sunday styles.
I mean, I've heard of that. I'm not from here either, but I did a little bit of checking before I set out on this journey, and yeah, it's a very interesting arrangement they have.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do anything.
Well,
Yep,
it looks to me. It looks to me like people here were from Kingsland and settled on the island, and well, they may have been. It seems like they may have been adventurers or mercenaries before they settled here. Kind of hard to tell without actually speaking with them about it. But it looks like they've locked in prime real estate here, so there is some significance to it.
Interesting.
Not sure how prime this real estate is if it's plagued by rodents like this.
If someone wanted to acquire prime real estate but not pay top dollar, they may try to devalue it with something like this.
Like horse rats? I mean,
Yes.
fought such rats like this before?
No. Yes. It's not like you can just start that up in 5 minutes and have a batch ready.
And it's true, it takes weeks from very skilled brewmasters.
If anyone wants to roll any other checks on the areas that they're looking around, be that perception or an applicable skill like lore, nature, arcanas, whatever.
I know nothing about rats.
No, nothing.
Yeah, Pete, I'm gonna look at this old rusted cauldron and rifle through this mound of dirt with my blade, just see if I can knock anything loose out.
No problem. You can go ahead and roll perception if you're not using a recall knowledge type skill.
Clint, did you want to mess around with that chest? I heard you mention that earlier, and we never got back.
I just mentioned it as a possible place where the rats could have.
And I'll take a look at it and see if I see any traps about it. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, I'll go up and specifically examine the chest for traps.
We should be careful, my friends. We are on private property here. We were asked to simply clean out the basement.
Of course, of course. Well, looks like there's no traps. It's safe. I'll go ahead and unopen it. All right, I got to open the chest.
You can open it, just, prefer not to take something out of it that's not yours. But if you see that that is a use for the rat,
I also position myself so that my back is to the rest of the group, so when I open the lid, that my body is blocking the contents.
Here I was gonna hold you there so that you use the shield.
Whatever.
Potato, potato.
What's your AC flat-footed?
Let's see. It's currently 18, so flat-footed, I would lose my dex, right?
Flat-footed, you don't lose your dex. You have -2 to your AC.
Oh, negative, so 16.
16. The chest is still locked, and a needle pops out and nearly pricks through your glove on your one hand, but the glove manages to hold tight, and it doesn't actually prick through.
Likes to bite.
Then you can hear a sort of whirling mechanism inside, and the needle begins to retract back into the chest. Do you have thievery?
Yes, I do.
You can go ahead and attempt thievery if you'd like.
And nail it.
That is you as you try to do that, your hand scrapes on it instead, and you nearly prick yourself with the needle. You don't critically fail, so you don't get pricked by it, but you don't manage to catch the needle before it goes in.
Did you try and punch in the needle?
Okay. It looks like I have to be very careful with this. There may have been a trap that I hadn't noticed upon first glance. I will try picking the.
I give him guidance this time if he's making a bit of a racket about it. Sounds like he's having a bit of trouble. Using a cantrip guidance.
I will not be offended by that.
You get a +1 bonus. Best I can do.
Alright, so I will try to pick the lock. Is that also thievery, or is there some other skill that I'm supposed to be using?
Thievery is picking a lock and disabling a device. So you'll find that under both those trained actions, it takes 2 actions to do so. And it, depending on the lock or the trap, it may take some time to actually be able to disable. Okay.
Here goes the first thievery attempt.
All right. As you're trying to pick the lock is beyond your skill at the moment. Let me see here. Da-ba-da-ba-da. Da-ba-da-ba-da. There's no critical failure. This is a very well-made lock, and you're aware that if you do critically fail, you may have some of your picks break, by the way. So, but you can continue to try if you'd like to, but 19, it wasn't going to do it. It's not a success, but it's not a critical failure.
It's quite difficult to get into this lock.
It's a 20 with the plus guidance. Does that matter?
That does matter. You do get a success versus opening the lock.
Oh, all right. I will try again.
Okay.
That little bit of gumption you gave me really, I think, helped me. Is that something that you can do frequently, or is that at great cost?
Oh, I can pretty much do that all the time. If you give me another hour, I can cash that on you again.
Well.
I can stand here and tell you how wonderful a job you did.
Oh, I love positive feedback. Thank you very much. And I will go at it again with these compliments. I don't know if that equates to anything, but Rashi appreciates it. There you go. Thievery again. Mother plus bucket.
Number of your picks end up breaking. Fixing them requires using crafting or repairing an item, or having replacement picks.
It might be better to just leave it alone. Unless you're really determined to see what's inside.
Well, it looks like I'm not going to be able to get inside of this. It appears as though it was designed to destroy my picks.
Oh, to carry pick. That your profession may not be something you wish to pursue.
Oh, let's see you do it then.
I have no desire to open up this chest. It's not my property.
Could be information inside to help us.
Killing rats? Are you looking for a pesticide?
Whatever.
I'm gonna walk over and tell them to go upstairs and tell the innkeeper.
Pete, I'm assuming that 11 perception, there was nothing in the cauldron or
Ye-
the pile.
Yes, with the 11 perception, you sifted through, and it's mostly all ruined. There's nothing of value here.
And can I, with a survival check, cut open the contents of that big rat's stomach, the rat ninja backstabber?
Sure. Nature survival, I believe, would be applicable with that sort of thing, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check which. Do actually.
Yeah, survival is the one I got.
Yep, survival would be fine. Well, you cut it open, and the contents of the stomach are mostly it's a disgusting soup of just various different grains that are down here and some other things that you'd care not to know about. However, I mean, the rat's the way you've dissected him, he's skinned pretty decently. Could make like a hat or a pair of shoes eventually, maybe. He's pretty big.
How big are we talking about? Is this like,
The rat,
capybara? Is it a true ROUS?
the rat was nearly small sized, so which would,
As big as me.
yeah, it was almost as big as Virgil, but not quite.
Yeah, I'll take the hide.
Okay. It takes you, some time, to fully get the entirety of the hide, but no more than it would skinning anything else in the wild. So, you have the time to do so.
I'm going to take a look at this armor.
Sure.
I don't feel like it help at this point, but I actually have more warfare.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and roll. I will whisper you what you find.
Not unusual. I'm not worried about that.
We already searched the library, or whatever this back storeroom is.
We have, did we do a lot? I think we were walking through it when things turned to, you know what?
I remember we were fighting in there, and then another fight broke out.
I don't believe that anyone said that they were sleeping in there.
They do look like books on shelves, though.
Joe, did you say you served with the Kingsland?
Yes, I did. I'm part of the King's Army.
Well, it's interesting. This armor here actually shows that the owner was an officer in the Kingsland.
Fascinating.
No, he wasn't a general or anything. He might have been a major or a colonel, but by the type of description, I'm not as familiar with Kingsland insignia. You might recognize it before I would.
Could it be warfare, war, or society?
I think it's warfare war. I'm a war priest.
I can't tell.
That might be from a different unit that you and I affiliated with. I figure they each have their own insignia. So, right.
Kane, most of those shelves are, some of them are empty, some of them have like old, sort of, it looks like tomes, musty, water stained, like some of them falling apart, just look books that look like it's, basic, almost like bookkeeping for the innkeeper here, down here.
The other three seem to have more books on.
It's got some books on it, it's just, it looks like they haven't filled it yet.
Gotcha.
There's no scrape marks on the bookshelves. Some of the books on the lower shelves look like that they've been pulled away by the rats so that they could be used in bedding and stuff like that. Great. Anyone not heading upstairs?
No,
I'm going with
I think we're done down here.
Cool.
I'm not staying down.
Cool. I will grab you all and then bring you on up. So one moment.
Still a little miffed about my picks.
And feel free, you guys can fan out from there. I was just needed to gather you guys together to do that. But the innkeeper will be like in the main common room area. Um, and Gabriel will be seated exactly where he was when you left.
Right over to him.
Round of drinks, anyone?
I think that's excellent.
Oh,
For sure.
hello. Yes. How did it go?
It went swimmingly well. My companions handled themselves admirably. The rodents the owl whisper, knowing that this instead of the problem has been taken care of.
Oh, thank you all so much. Oh, my wife and I have just been, there's so much storage that we use down there, and we haven't had access to any of it for weeks now. It's been an absolute nightmare.
That sounds terrible.
But here, uh, after you all are done your drinks and have something to eat as well, I can take you upstairs and show you your rooms. I'll give you the full layout for the week, considering the great service you've done me here. Um,
I do have a question, more of a curiosity than anything else.
Certainly.
Who is the owner of the armament, basically?
Oh, that would be mine in my younger days. By the way, the name is Navit. most folks around here call me Mr. Novit. Mrs. Novit's back there in the kitchen. But yes, when I was younger, I had need of such things, and now, well, it just collects dust in the basement.
Here's you were a man of position in the Kingsland
I don't like to brag, but I served there for quite many years before moving to the sun-kissed Isles.
Did you ever serve a tour of duty here?
Um, no, actually, I hadn't. But I known several others that did, and they talk so highly of it. Also, what with this being a territory of the Kingsland, we thought that this would be a nice, fresh start for me and the missus.
I was stationed here years ago. It was my first sport.
Oh, well, I think that you're going to find that the country is quite agreeable. The temperature is a little bit warmer than our kind are used to, but you'll soon get used to the heat. But here, let me go get those drinks for you, and please sit down and rest. I imagine. Oh goodness, some of those wounds look pretty nasty.
Yeah, we all could go with a bit of rest after and relax here. You're very comfortable. Common.
Oh, certainly. So he goes back and he goes to work up another round of drinks for you all. Uh, Gabriel looks at you all a little bit funny and he says, "So, rats, eh?"
Rats.
Rats. Highly trained, very sneaky rats.
Well,
Also, just a lot of rats, though.
it wasn't. At least you secured your lodgings for the week. So with, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's actually
Indeed, and now that your lodgings are secure, you all were talking about possible work, yes?
Yeah.
I'm not above earning some honest coin.
Good. Well, we can go out into the port, and I can show you around in well, the areas about here are probably the best ones for individuals such as yourselves to make a living. I mean, you can go into Old Town and into Stoneside, but I would not. Yeah, you'd probably find higher quality of coin here and in the stairs.
That's excellent.
Indeed. Well, just no, we've talked and been friends for some time now, but still, what kind of work is it that you would all be interested in?
Typically, I've made my way just doing escorting and you know, bodyguarding.
Solving problems for those who were in need.
Uh,
We also solve, I personally solve problems for people who can't pay, but if someone can, I'm not above collecting a fee for doing so. From my own standpoint, I think I speak for most here. We prefer it to be something that would not involve, shall we say, finding ourselves on odds with law enforcement.
oh, that is an interesting thing to have to find yourselves at odds with on one side or the other, because you have, on the one side, you have the Rodrigo family's guard, who control a good portion of the city, and they are not at odds with the guard of the Kingsland. But the rest of the guard answer to the Margrave.
Margaret,
Yes, he is the king's appointed representative in the Sun-Kissed Isles.
you sound like you said there were three factions.
Well,
The Kingsland, would the Kingsland troops report to him?
Yeah, no, it is the Kingsland troops. My apologies if it sounded that way, but the Kingsland troops would report to the Margrave, yes.
Okay.
And then there are, of course, any number of different mercenaries and individuals that operate for the different mercantile houses or other people around. So, I mean,
I would prefer not to irritate the Kingsmen. As for finding myself at odds with others, depending upon who they are.
well, just keep in mind that if you ingratiate yourselves with the Kingsland and you cozy up to them, the people of the Isles, they don't always take kindly to such, how you say, butt sniffers. But again, it is how you conduct yourselves and your business. So I do not mean to insult you.
No, I have much sympathy in that.
But uh, these things aside, there are a few places I know of to find work. If you are interested with work with the Kingsland, down towards Stoneside, the very south, they have their barracks and a fortress set up next to the Tower of the Margrave.
Virgil waits for a, not intentionally, but waits for like a very inappropriately long moment, and then goes up. I'm on an academic sabbatical from the Temple of Macabre in Toscana. I'm here to actually to learn and to take in the culture. So anything you could provide me for that, I would find very suitable.
Well, stick around long enough, you'll hear enough good stories and see enough interesting things to have learned your fill. Unless you're looking to go to one of the other isles, there's no real libraries around here in Porto del Sol.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. Definitely here to check out the local flora, fauna, and any number of dangerous things.
Well, if you're looking to go out into the countryside, you can often find any number of dangerous things.
Just remember, brother Virgil, that to feed the mind, you also have to feed the body, and to feed the body requires blood.
Yeah, technically it requires food.
Well,
Maybe
no,
private libraries available as well.
point.
Any number of rich men and individuals have private libraries. You probably could find some folks with them if you were so inclined, but it'd likely be around the stairs or towards the Castile.
Gabriel, would you want us to meet with you tomorrow morning, perhaps? If you be interested in showing us around some more.
Yes, no, I would love to show you around the stairs. I could introduce you to my uncle. He may know of individuals that need work.
Perfect.
We'd really appreciate that.
Thank you
Excellent.
very much.
And it would be good for you as you get accustomed to the port to just ease into things, and that way you can learn how things work around here. Yes.
I've heard the food is spicy in the Sunkissed Isles. Is there certain foods or descriptions you could advise that we avoid?
Well, one of the reasons that I brought you here instead of one of the other inns or taverns is that I know that the innkeeper was hailing from the Kingsland, and the food would be more to your palate. Um, Overall, the food spice is good. The blandness is not great. So just again, no one's going to feed you anything that's going to make you rich. It's just if you don't handle spice well, then perhaps you want to stick to blander inns and restaurants, if you catch my meaning.
I just don't want to sit most of the day on the toilet.
Oh, well, you may find that between not only the spice, but also if you're not used to the fruits of the Isles, we have many different flora and fauna here from the mainland of the Kingsland and such. It may take your palate a few days to get used to it, but after that you should be fine.
Thank you again.
So, then what I'm going to do is the innkeeper brings you all a round of drinks, and Navit says, "Here, let me show you to the upstairs," and I will move you guys to the upstairs of the inn. So 1 second. Boop-de-doo. King's Rest, Gathering Navit, and I'm going to move you guys outside really quick
Oh, you throw this out, huh?
to move you over.
So, Virgil, what did Navid say he did for the king again?
He served in the military.
Yeah.
He owned that armor in the basement. He was an officer in the Kingsman military.
And now he has that
Now he's retired.
alchemy station set up in the basement.
That's what I found.
Well, he and his wife, he said, are retired. Yeah. What he chooses to dabble in now, why not?
Did he say his wife served Kingsland as well?
No, but I have no idea.
So,
What studies out.
Navit brings you upstairs after he gets you your round of drinks. I presume that was out of his earshot, or he was going upstairs. And you see that he begins to unlock a number of the doors up here so that you have free reign. Um, I've opened up all the doors just so that you can see through them and such, but there is a room to the north, and then there's 2 rooms to the west. There's technically this area down to the southeast, but that just leads out to a balcony that overlooks the harbor. Um, the room to the north also has a balcony that overlooks the harbor. I haven't built that onto the map just because there's no way for me to have it built on so that you can see the harbor from here. But that said, uh, all 3 of the rooms, the one to the north, the one to the northwest, and the one to the southwest, are available to you guys. And he says, Navit says, there's at least 6 beds. One's a double, but you'll find plenty of comfortable couches and seating as well. I didn't really have anyone boarding with me anyway, so this works out well for having you all around. But my wife has collected the novels over on the shelves over the years. If you please feel free to help yourself to read any of it or what have you. But that said, the room to the south is my office, and that'll remain locked. So if you all need anything, just give me a holler. I'll be downstairs.
Thank you. There's 3 beds here to the north. I'll take one up here. If you don't mind snoring at night.
I'll bunk with the dwarf.
Hey, I'm gonna get rid of these plants. Are they the same plants that are dried in the basement?
Good. I was thinking the same.
Go ahead and roll nature.
Nature. No. That's one. I'm gonna use my halfling luck for the day.
Cool.
Try that again.
Are you checking out the flora?
A number of them are, yes, actually. It looks like, and you also notice, on the balconies that are off the southern room and the northern room, you see that she has more plants out there, and some of them in garden boxes and such. And whereas some of them look like they're just flowering fauna, majority of what she's growing are things that look like it would be of that nature.
And thank you for confirming the suspicion of mine.
I'll take a look at the plants as well. Virgil, what do you have there?
These are, I mean, you can tell me that, but better.
You
Same dry thinking foundation.
you both pretty much have the same working knowledge.
Yeah, so I just banter back and forth with him using technical jargon and things like that because I'm trying to reclaim a bit of my pride from the failed attempt at depicting.
Oh, do you want to talk nerd? Virgil will talk nerd.
Arashi totally geeks out over these plants using their botanical names and
Mike, I'll give you a little bit more because the higher roll, and that some of these poisons look like they could go up to sixth or seventh level as far as potency. So in Pathfinder, poisons, alchemical items, all of these other sorts of things have different levels, and usually the level that they're at is roundabout. If you were a poisoner or an alchemist, you'd be able to make ones of that level, and you'd usually be able to make some for free every single day, or you keep the whatever around, or you do something like that. Either way, if you bought them on the open market, and these were properly made into poisons, these would be worth between 50 and 60 gold, properly prepared.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't know any of that.
I kind of lean in towards Bert and like, yeah, some of these plants would fetch 50 gold or better on the open market. These are up to level 7 poisons.
Well, you wouldn't say level 7, but
These are incredibly poisonous plants.
Well, yeah, that's part of the genus there. That's 50 gold. Is that a fair price?
It would be a starting price.
Oh, interesting. I'll take note of that.
I wonder if we could get maybe some clippings.
Well, no one's here.
Well,
I would, of course, recommend not taking too much. You don't want to harm the plant or put it in some sort of shadow.
well, I wouldn't be taking any clippings from ones like these because I'm sure that the caretaker would notice where even one leaf missing, it would be obvious.
I didn't even think of that. That's a fair assumption to make.
So as much as I like to liberate things, I try not to do them foolishly. So
Has an hour gone by, and can I try to heal or no?
sure, absolutely.
I'm just curious to try to learn how this works.
Yep, after an hour, you're able to attempt a healing check on yourself.
How does that work? Do you have to have some sort of skill?
You should have the medicine skill, although there's certain feats like natural medicine that would allow you to use the nature skill instead. But also, you would usually need a healer's kit as well as that. So,
None of the above.
I can try it if you'd like. I have a healer's kit and I have a bit of skill with medicine.
I certainly would be appreciative if you would. Of course, now it's an 8. I rolled a 20 when I was seeing what the thing did earlier.
Try an 18 medicine on Sayer. Did you say the name?
and the 18 succeeds, the 8 does not, so you're immune to, not Battleson, but the medicine skill to use treat wounds for an hour. It doesn't critically fail, so you don't damage yourself. Mike, with that roll, you heal 2d8 hit points.
I only need 1.
No. Let's just make sure everything. Yeah, he like put a little bit of extra. Like, okay, that's properly right there.
By the way, you can try to aim for a DC 20 if you ever want to, and it increases the number of hit points by 10, but also increases the chance of a critical failure.
So you have to aim for the 20. If you get a 20 naturally, it doesn't.
Because
provide that.
we have to know whether or not it's a critical success or failure. So unless I know which DC that you're aiming for, I don't know how much negative it needs to go up or down.
Oh, I'll take that. That's
Come on, Simone. You know you're going for the difficulty 10. Or 20 in this case.
no, I want a 15. I want to make sure I healed that guy, even though he only needed one. King. It's here. I don't think you're immune to healing spells. That would be insane.
Nope.
Maybe I was
Virgil, I tried to patch myself up, but I couldn't reach my back. Are these gouges still present?
You turn around and just covered in blood.
Yeah, so Kane does a little bit of a flex to show him his heavily muscled back, minus the gouges.
Oh my gracious, that is some serious rat wounds. Okay, hold on. And I'm just gonna do another prayer to the uncaring God who does not give a shit about us. You get 15 hit points back.
Good lord.
Holy Jesus.
For
Kane's gonna do
uncaring.
everything he can to make Virgil his spirit animal.
What time of day is it now?
It's nighttime. It's almost time to go to bed, so you'll be resting shortly.
Question on prepared spells. Are you doing now? Pathfinder basically says that you got spell slots for prepared spells, but the prepared spells can only be cast once. So you're forcing that.
So you once per day. Then when you can re-prepare them the next time.
No, but what it's saying is, like, for example, if I want to throw heal more than once, that's going to take up two of my slots right there. So I could only do that one spell more than once. They're saying that you can't, a prepared spell is only used once, even if you have additional slots, unless you fill those slots with that spell.
So the thing is that healing font is different from your prepared spells. Your prepared spells is a very specific list of spells you have, and you like, for example, you could choose bless, magic weapon, and maybe something else. If you prepared bless and magic weapon, you may still have other spells you haven't used for that day, but if you used bless, that bless is gone.
Right, exactly.
So yes, that's precisely.
The way I read a divine font, though, is it basically gives me one more spell a day.
Well, Divine's Font gives you 2 free ones. So you gain Divine Font gives you a number of free heals per day, equal to, I believe, your charisma modifier plus 1.
Mine's a 1.
Well, you get, but I think it's plus 1 if I'm not mistaken. It could be wrong.
I was just reading it. Let me double check it again because I could be misreading it, which is always possible. But in fact, I was looking for that, and I found where it says you gain additional spell slot each day at your highest level cleric spell slot. You prepare only heal spells in these slots, and the number of slots is equal to 1 plus your charisma modifier. Okay.
You might be looking at first edition, by the way. Just be careful about that.
No, I have.
Okay.
Well, I did a search on second edition, and I've got the book too, which is on page 116. So I got the book sitting here right open. I'm reading there.
Yep. So.
So it is. You're right. It is too.
Mhm.
So all right. So technically I could prepare up to 4, which would take my 2 normal slots and then 2 additional slots. So I'm reading how this works.
Yeah, you could prepare more healing spells if you want to. Just the way that clerics work is they didn't want them to have to force to have all their fun spell slots full of heals, so they gave Divine Font as the means so that there would be a happy medium there.
Okay, so this will work because then I just put this into 2 of these spells. And actually, just trying to figure out for my next day. I'm basically looking at myself as being healing day.
Mhm.
The question is, do if I take 2, the other 2? I mean, I also said too, you can basically prepare any spells once it's at the proper level. You're supposed to spend time every night doing it.
Mhm.
I could change the list, but I do like Spirit Link and Bless.
Yep, they're both good.
Yeah.
Well, if you got any questions, yeah,
Yeah, I got it. I'm just going to take 1 of each.
cool.
That takes care of my normal slots. And then, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to use the sheet here too, so that it makes sense when I'm doing stuff. So I'm going to turn in after I prepare these.
Okay.
Virgil, would you mind checking these rat bites that I have?
No, not at all. Are we looking at for medicine or going straight here? dun, dun. There you go. All right, yeah.
How much?
That's
How much
Treachery.
do you do?
Let me go back to that. Medicine.
So,
Thank you.
Literally. Oh, got it. Literally right in front of me. 2d8. Treat wounds.
Oh, okay.
boom.
You got it.
I knew having you along on this trip would be a
No, of course. I mean, yeah, are you gonna do all the research on the local flora and fauna without me? that'd be crazy.
no. I would never.
So we're a good team, John. Oh, also, Kane wanted me to tell you thank you for saving his life. Did you save his life?
You healed him, my friend. I did nothing more than make sure that he was.
Well, that sounds pretty important. But he wanted me to tell you thank you again for that.
That sounds pretty important.
So yeah,
All right.
we're taking the room with the double beds.
Any place I can walk you into the room.
Yeah, it's true.
It sounds like one of the rooms that overlooks the harbor.
Well, that's up north where we are.
Is there any beds left in here?
Yeah, Kane and I are using 2. There's 3.
All right, I'll take one then.
All right.
You notice Grail, as soon as he sees you laid down, immediately takes his pack and moves it a little further towards the head of his bed away from you.
I don't know. Let's see. Do I notice that?
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to hide it. Grail wasn't hiding it at all. He just
All right.
moves his stuff a little further away, and it's a little more.
Sleep well, friend. You have no fear of your things while I'm around.
Oh, I'm sure I won't.
I take a look out at the bay. I just watch out at the bay for a while, just to see people moving about. I try to see if there's any, if I notice any groups of people congregating, or just I'm watching the flow of the dock area. Just people watching, whatever that perception. I don't know if that would be necessarily perception, or if that's more a society kind of thing, or I don't.
Both skills are applicable to different things. Just depends on what you want to know. Also, there's
First, I'm looking to see what I can see first, and then if I can see any groups interacting, I'll try to get an idea of how they're interacting socially, I guess.
okay.
So here's looking out the window to see how well I can even see people from where I am.
I mean, you pick out groups of people, ships coming and going, all sorts of things of that sort.
Okay, and then my society roll to see how they're interacting with each other. I mean, I know this is mostly body language, but I doubt I'll be able to hear anything. But just like handshaking or embracing or distancing, things like that.
You notice nothing more than what you've noticed all day long. Society is remarkable in that the number of folks that there's bards playing throughout most of the districts of the city. There's still one that's very close to your window that you can actually hear. He's not singing per se. He's playing a stringed instrument that's got sort of like a soothing effect for this period of night. You see some ships coming and go, but I mean it's such a distance from the King's Rest to where it is without like a spyglass or anything of that sort. Difficult to pick out details at this time of night. So
I'm also looking around to see if I notice any symbols of the occult on any adjoining houses, around the areas, if somebody has something that's blatantly obvious nearby,
You do not.
kind of like dog whistles, that kind of thing.
You notice nothing.
Okay. So, all right. Well, last thing I look at is I admire the ships and then I head into bed.
Right.
We actually all hear the instruments outside, things like that.
Uh,
Or,
He's towards the west of the, or not west, the east of the house. So the further in that you are, I mean, you open up a window and you can still hear it lightly, but not very loudly. Over on their side,
if I don't hear it, that's fine.
Yep.
Because I'll just kind of be doing. I have to clear the pipes and practice myself. Or that'll perform some of the organ songs that I know
Perfect.
very badly.
Oh, give me a
That rat.
performance.
I've got rat hair caught in my throat.
I totally try to sing along in Orcish with him.
Oh, I need to see a bolt. Somebody.
Performance?
Warhammer.
No, I was just testing because I had a problem with getting that to work today.
Oh my god!
You guys start hearing what you would assume to be a broom handle striking the ceiling of the layer below you.
Are you feeling okay?
I'm joining in the fine Orcish song.
Oh,
Oh, I need to
That
like
part
a
is
super
sounding
your
like I was doing it well.
you know what? Because I speak Orcish, and those last three words just called this family into question.
Then this angelic music comes from the one of the northern bedrooms.
Actually, I think we're in the northern bedroom, aren't we?
Well, yeah, you're in the center north. Yeah,
Oh, center north.
yeah, he's in the north west.
That's pretty, that's how it should sound. And you did.
So you all wake up the next day, and Mrs. Novitt is happy to cook up breakfast for everyone. Um, I'm going to go back to the main map just to have Gabriel be able to go over a bit of exposition here. Not everything is annotated on this map right now because you don't know too much with regards to the port, but Gabriel will go over some basics of it. Absolutely. Um, so, the Silkside docks are on sort of the northwest side of the city, and the Stoneside docks are sort of in the southwest. Um, the reasoning for this, Gabriel says, is that um, the most the wealthier companies and individuals with ships tend to end up on Silkside, and Stoneside accepts most of the rest of the traffic for the city. Um, it, the Silkside docks lead into the stairs. Um, they're called such because, and I'll add this to you guys' journal. So all players for the stairs. And let me pull that up on my camera thing. Um, Essentially, the way that the city works is that, again, it is lightly tiered because it's carved into rock. And the stairs start to go up into almost a mountainous area that lead up to the Castile, which is the seat of the power of the Rodrigo family. So the thing is that the stairs begin to climb up higher than the rest of the city, and then they move to the arch, which leads through to the Castile. And the archway has like the road to go up into the Castile is off of the ground for defensive purposes. So it's like almost like a large bridge of stone. Um, Towards the south, the area that's labeled the fortress is the fortress of the Kingsland. They also have their barracks there, the Tower of the Margrave. Southward is, and by the way, most all of this is in the common tongue. Most all of these names have a different name in Castellanos, but Gabriel would be kind enough to teach it to you in the common tongue for the moment. But South Ward is where a lot of individuals that work for the Kingsland in the fortress area tend to populate, just because folks from the Kingsland, as Gabriel said, they are not as well liked and sometimes find it difficult living in other areas of the city. Um, there's two other gates out, Silver Gate and the Light Gate, that go further inland on the island. There are other cities and towns on this island. Some of them are like mining villages closer to the mountains. Some of them are off in more densely treed areas further on the island. Some of them are also other ports along the island. This is the largest one. We'll investigate those as we go on in the campaign, but um, he says to you that um, my uncle is a bladesmith, one of the best in the city, and he owns a shop uh, referred to as Cuquillos de la Nubes. Uh, it is, in the common tongue, the blades of the clouds. He is likely um, what any individual in the Sun-Kissed Isles would attain to with regards to their profession. But we go to see my uncle now, and he likely will be able to know where to go looking for work.
Last night, Arace's performance, it scared me so much. I had a nightmare where I hated music. I just hated music all night long. Where are we going?
So, you guys get to the bladesmith store. By the way, the area of the stairs, whereas the city, it's beautiful in of itself with the water features and the musicians about and things of that sort. You notice that the beautification as you go up the stairs of the city becomes much more pronounced as there are exaggerated water features. It looks like that there may be either mechanical or magical effects with regards to some of the features. The street corners, the lanterns are of nicer quality. The people about it, you don't see much in the way of folks that are either poor dressed or you don't see any sort of beggars, vagrants, anything of that sort. It's just it looks like it's nice storefronts, nicer homes and the homes have well manicured gardens and are walled off from the main of the street and such. Largely, this looks like it would be where the upper echelon of the city resides. But you make your way further into the stairs, and you eventually come to the store that has the storefront itself has a plated glass window, and then the front of it looks rather nice. Um, but as you enter with Gabriel, he takes you towards the back of the store, and you can see that it's a bit of a cluttered mess back here. Um, but as you pass through the storefront, you see multiple different display cases with rapiers, longswords, daggers, throwing blades, all sorts of blades of various different types of design. Some of them plainer than others, some of them absolutely masterful. But he brings you into the back of the storefront. He goes, "Uncle, Uncle, I have returned. Gabriel, Gabriel, it's been months. What where have you been, boy? I haven't heard nor hide for a hair from you all this time. Uncle, 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 I apologize. I was traveling with Lord Juan, and things got rather hectic in Pascana. Oh, well, I heard about that bit of business. I'm sorry to hear about Lord Juan." And you see that Gabriel sort of looks down sadly for a moment. Uh, the elder Torres comes over and puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "It'll be all right, boy. You'll find work again. Is that what brings you back to the storefront? You're looking to work for your uncle again?" Um, Actually, Uncle, I wanted to introduce you to my friends. These are some folks that I've met in my travels. Allow me to introduce the Master Bladesmith Antonio Torres. And Antonio looks to all of you.
Well met.
Uh, Uncle, they're actually uh, they're excellent mercenaries from what I've seen. On not mercenaries. They're looking to do some good in the city, as far as one of them have told me, and was wondering if you could think of anything. I know that you've got your ear to the ground about this sort of thing. Uh, I usually do. I mean, there's always folks that are looking for odd jobs and things of that sort. What are you all? You have any particular strengths, or are you mostly? I mean, from
Particular strengths. I don't want to get away from the fact that you are an artisan in the artifacts of war. We see some of your wares. I sing tales of the inspired by warrior muses, and I exclaim and extol the valors of the battlefield.
absolutely. Well, here, come with me. Um, as you see, he goes to his case and he begins to open it up. He says, "I try to, in the event, to prevent some of my works being sold around. If someone doesn't need one anymore, I try to buy them back, just because I prefer to keep the mark a bit more prestigious. Some days, some smiths allow themselves to become too sullied, but he pulls out a thin blade that has sort of silver inlay with a gold handle, handguard that's sort of ornately sort of got some gold work in it that you can see. It looks like either diamonds or rubies have been worked into. And he says, "You find yourself ever using a proper thin blade, a duelist weapon, or are you more of a longsword type individual?"
I assume we are walking around with our gear and equipment, or did we leave most everything back
Yeah,
in the inn?
you have it with you.
Which would mean strapped to my back is a maul and a great axe with a short blade at my side. No, I've never found myself to use such a delicate weapon as this, though I am appreciative of those who do.
Ah, well, I can see from what you carry that you have skill in a multitude of different areas. Well, uh, between that,
But
um,
no one has accused me of grace, other than the fineness of my voice.
my, well, I'll have to hear you perform at some point. Perhaps you're as good a singer as I am a smith.
Perhaps not.
I'll give a little bit of
Hmm.
That one didn't go last night.
I think he's excellent. Really, he's got a gift.
Well,
By far, none of our gifts come close to the craftsmanship and sheer beauty of the things you create.
well, thank you.
I would find myself honored if at some point I could afford one of these.
Yeah, same here.
Well, I think I might be able to help you there. As he goes back to his sort of, he's got a workbench, but you can see that it looks like he not only crafts the things, but he also, like, he draws them out beforehand, and he looks like he's an excellent artist in addition to being a master bladesmith. And he begins to go through the drawings, and he pulls out one of a pair of daggers, very wicked looking. Um, as he says, I had a bit of an issue that came up recently, and perhaps this is fortuitous, because Gabriel, if your friends are able to assist me in this, it will be worth the weight in gold, and if not, then, well, I'll have to try to work through Rodrigo's men in order to come to an amicable agreement. Um, so. Um, I've run into an issue with two pieces of my work recently that unfortunately have been, well, I don't want to say misplaced, they have been stolen.
A travesty.
Yes, quite, quite.
Terrible business.
Especially considering who commissioned them. And so I've actually been looking to see if I cannot have the weapons returned to me, either ransomed or otherwise. I'd much prefer they just be able to be recollected, but I understand whoever did this may have done it in a targeted fashion.
Do you have any idea where they may have ended up?
I do not know that, but um, they either knew what they were looking for, or this was a masterful target of opportunity that they just could not resist.
So is it possible the individual that commissioned them had them stolen? Not pay the price.
I I considered that, but Rodrigo's rarely, if ever, break their word and would never do something so dishonorable. Although the one that I'm dealing with is not exactly the most honorable of all Rodrigos.
Are we speaking of Leduc?
Oh, no, the Crimson Highwayman? I crafted his blade for him when he was but a youth. No, Ladakh is the most honorable of Rodrigos. He would fight for the common man, back to back, sword to sword, so to speak. I do not speak ill of the Crimson Highwayman in my shop. You're a foreigner, and so I will allow you to do so once, but do not do so again.
But it seems that he was at odds with his entire family.
The entire family is at odds with each other. You should see what their uncles get into with him. It is. Gabriel, have you not educated them on the family? And Gabriel's like, I've been educating them since they've gotten here. I've got a very long way to go, uncle. It's like, okay, okay, well, suffice to say, the Rodrigo family has never been all cheery, nicey nice with each other. But no, the Rodrigo I am dealing with is Raul Rodrigo.
Well, I cannot speak for the others, but I would be more than interested in seeing if we can retrieve what has been taken from them.
Perfect.
I'm all for it. Have we heard tales of Raoul yet or no?
Society could be rolled with it. Gabriel has not told you anything yet.
Yes, that's what I was asking.
I'd be happy to help, even though the weapons here I can admire and appreciate, but not suitable for the skills that I possess.
I know people, though, and regardless of that, I am not going to gift you one of my weapons, of course. I will pay you 1,000 gold.
I wasn't suggesting, I'm just saying that I can appreciate your skills, but I unfortunately don't believe I'll become a customer of yours in the future.
That is fair.
Right, leave more for me.
You a service, I'd be more than happy to.
You have an image of the weapons that we should be recovering for you.
Yes, I do, and he has one of the composite drawings of the weapon. It may not look identical to that, but let me see.
And what was the where and when again of their theft?
A few things. One is for that society check, I've placed Raoul's journal entry in there. That is as much as you know uh, with regards to that skill check. He is underneath the Rodrigo family in that drop down. But that said, in addition to what you know with Raoul, the other questions, uh, and I'm going to pop the picture. There's going to be a quests and what's the word? Quests and jobs drop down, and the Bladesmith's Dilemma will have a picture of the blade in it. So for all players, um, he said, so so the blades were out for work by a jeweler and a goldsmith known as Alaric Goldhill. He's a dwarf that works over in the stairs at his own shop. He does excellent work with jewels and finishing of blades. Um, but it was when he was finished that I sent my messenger to go and get the blade. And on the way back from Alaric's, from there to here, he was jumped in virtually broad daylight.
And does he have a description of who jumped him?
I spoke to them about it, and I had them speak to the guards as well. It is a individual that I hired to do odd jobs for me about the area. His name is Luca Ballesteros. He is a good hand, and again, you could put a giant caravan guard on this sort of thing, but that calls as much attention as if you send just a simple courier to go back and forth. And so I err on the side of less is more, but you could call me stupid for it in this instance. But Luca, they were masked, and none of the information that he was able to give me or the guards was useful. You might be able to speak to Luca, though, and he might be able to, maybe you suss out something that we were unable to. He should be about the stairs in some capacity or another.
You've had
Yes, I plan to
previous
start
work
there.
with this dwarf?
Oh, Alaric Goldhill? Yes, he's impeccable. His work is some of the best. He's one of the most reliable to be able to get gems and precious metals into Porto del Sol and used as masterful craftsman.
How does he
When you,
typically communicate with you when the blades are finished and ready for delivery?
Typically, he sends a messenger. Uh,
Same messenger?
no, different one. Usually, it's a dwarf. I think it's one of his nephews, another Goldhill.
Did you recognize the messenger on this day?
Yes.
I wonder if we might not start there.
Yeah, the gold hills are on the other side of the stairs. You should be able to find them. They're pretty prolific as far as jewelers go.
is it common for people to know when you're working on a new weapon, or is that something you keep to yourself?
I keep to myself, and I mean, even look around. Can you tell if I'm working on it? And you see, it's just like the place is as from the main storefront, it is a mess. This guy has got to be a mad genius of some sort. He probably knows where all of his tools are. It's just you wouldn't know where to begin looking. But even the drawings that are all over his table of whether it's commissioned or non-commissioned or whatever it is, it's very hard to tell what's new, what's not.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the Raul Rodrigo.
You did not roll society, so it is only gone to the people that have the information.
Karachi.
Oh, did I miss the feedback? Let me take a look, see what
I didn't whisper it to you. I added it to your journal, Mike. As I mentioned, it's under the Rodrigo family dropdown and under Mateo Rodrigo and his children.
When the dwarf delivered his latest notification to you that the blade was complete and ready for pickup, was this a letter or a scroll, or was this verbal?
Sealed letter. It's how we communicate. Alaric is notoriously paranoid.
And
You know,
do you still have this?
No, I think I gave it to the guard.
The guard reported that.
Yes. I reported it to the Kingsland Guard to see if they could see about taking care of it for me, and they're not too terribly helpful. I was going to petition Lord Rodrigo, but I did not want to embarrass myself.
Oh, speaking of the Rodrigo family, Kane, I recall something about Raul.
Oh,
Yes. Well, first of all, he's the owner and operator of a number of gambling dens, dance halls, brothels across the islands. The biggest of them is the Puerto del Sol called it's in Puerto del Sol called the Forbidden Coast. And other than that, he's stunningly handsome. And when he speaks to you, you can get lost in his eyes. And he's man of few words. When he speaks, everyone listens. That's what I can
He's
recall.
incurred his own death.
Well, for someone like that.
Looking at the Elder Torah.
Yes.
These are twin blades, correct?
Yes, they're twin blades, identical.
Did they have any sort of arcane enchantment or blessing from the divine on them that would require both of them to be together to work?
They will have enchantment upon them, and most of it is complete. They do not have to be together to work. You just wanted a matched pair.
Are you the only one who works in this? You have an apprentice or assistants?
I had an apprentice, as he looks at Gabriel, but no, I do not have an apprentice anymore.
Get to me.
So, off the record, if you had any suspicions as to how they knew when to steal these blades, seems they would have had to have some inside knowledge. Do you have any suspicions?
Your guess is as good as mine. Did they somehow glean the information from watching my shop? Did they glean the information from watching Gold Hills? Did someone in Rodrigo's camp somehow let information slip that he had this being worked on? I cannot say. And again, it could just be a random happenstance. If I knew, I would be enacting upon it.
I looked at Gabriel. Is your uncle kind of chatty when he's in his cups?
Uh, you can see that his uncle looks very cross at Gabriel, and Gabriel goes, "No, no, he's not one to drink very much."
Did you know?
Steady hand, you wouldn't be able to take this skill level.
Well, no, the worry would be that he would be discussing his next great accomplishment, these pieces of art that he is making in the open, and someone would just get the bright idea to try and pilfer one. But it's good to know that he doesn't drink, so you can actually write that off. That's not something that would have happened.
Can I roll a I don't know, would it be perception or what? To see if Senor Torres the Elder is not inclined to point the finger at the Rodrigos out of respect or just pure self-preservation.
Perception's the best one for what you're asking for and such, but that's more of like an inference thing. So you go ahead and roll, and um, more difficult to say than whatever you may have gleaned from the conversation as far as probably more you'd glean with that roll.
Well, perhaps we should go and speak with this dwarf.
While we're here, why don't we start with the one who was attacked first? Since he's the last one who actually held the object.
He's not here. He must be out on business throughout the stairs. You can find him. Ask around. He's usually pops in for a drink or two at some of the taverns.
He's not a gambler, is he?
What he does in his private time, I leave to his own devices. I pay him to do effective work, and this is the only time he has failed me.
And how did you say you traded messages with Alaric?
Alaric is fairly paranoid, even for a dwarf, and he tends to require sealed messages with a stamp on them when we're communicating with regards to work.
Is that transferred by the guard, or is that a paid third-party process?
I usually use Luca to communicate with him, and he usually uses one of his nephews, I think, another Goldhill.
Would want to stay within his family.
Gentlemen, I think the couriers are probably our best sleep.
Certainly where I would stop.
Sounds like it.
I do advise you to be very, very careful. It appears that most dwarves, and him especially, are very, very sensitive about anything that would be a perceived insult to his honor or his family or his clan. So be careful how you address questions about nephew, because we really don't want to alienate the entire dwarven family. We have no idea what their contacts are like, or even their sheer numbers. The dwarves are known to sometimes start.
I think it's fair to assume that we're not going to start with insinuations or accusations. We're
I'm
just gathering
not-
information.
I am simply voicing a warning.
Well then, Crow, you should lead the discussion when we meet with Mr. Goldhill, as you have a much more deeper knowledge.
At least me, hopefully, I doubt my clan has not had a run in with any other clan in many generations, so that would probably be fine. I don't think there'll be any issues with that. I can do that.
Senor Torres, if you can help us find your associate that's not available today, I'd like to ask him some questions, right?
Well, I don't mean to tell you how to do your job, but I am very busy here, and if I wanted to track down the information myself, I would stop doing my work and not offer 1,000 gold pieces to have it handled. So, if you could look into it as yourselves, I apologize for not being more helpful, but I am very busy here.
Fair enough.
Makes sense to me.
And once we get outside, I mean, like, what did he say that guy's name once again?
Luca?
That's fine, Luca.
It's been added to your journals, and it would
It was on the second floor.
I was going to say the same thing. That's my
By
understanding.
the way, remember, you notice that Braille, his primary weapon is a warhammer he carries, but you'll see that he also has what appears to be a fairly ornate dagger. It's the only blade you'll see carried. It's on his belt.
I'm gonna see what I know about Luca.
Okay.
What I can recall of information about Luca.
very difficult to check because Luca Ballesteros is not renowned by any means. He's a random guy on the street, so and the thing is that if he was known in certain circles, it would be perhaps like lore weapons or lore this or things of that sort. So he, he doesn't have a Ballesteros is roughly with regards to the name that's based out of the Sun-Kissed Isles and that the families they're
How
probably
much do you know about your FedEx driver?
yeah.
Right.
Quite a bit, actually.
Not much about the FedEx driver, but our mailman I know a lot.
There we go.
Sadly, so does Jack.
Ugh.
That's why I think FedEx, because I was intentionally thinking somebody would talk.
But that said, you don't know anything more about Luca other than the Ballesteros family name makes sense for someone that lives in the area.
You did mention that Luca likes to frequent the pubs.
Yes, Gabriel's still with you.
We can ask him if he happens to know pubs that.
I know a few of them around, but I couldn't speak for certain. Luca was never an individual that I was particularly good friends with. I think my uncle started to hire him on after I had left the Isles, so there could be any number of establishments, and some of them might be a little too ritzy for him. Um, uh, I don't know if we should ask around or.
Is he a courier? Is there a courier service that he works for, or is he just himself has built his own
Asking Gabriel or the oh Gabriel was unfortunately I do not know.
We left. I walked out the door when he was like,
Good job. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
McLeod said good night, everyone.
Good night.
They all just said good night.
Go to bed, kid.
Oh wait, child, you're bothering.
It's a reference.
But Gabriel begins to play like a decent song as you guys are going, and you know, like the more you pose him with questions, the more you sort of pick up. I mean, while he was traveling with Juan Rodrigo, while he picked up a little bit in swordplay, Gabriel wasn't a master investigator. He was known for his knowledge of stories, tales, and for how well he played his instruments. So he doesn't appear to be too much of a head for this sort of thing.
If we can't find him simply, it seems that in front of us is the long, grueling task of one pub after the next. I, for one, am thirsty enough to take on this mission.
Well, and Gabriel says, "Excellent. Although I do not have the gold to cover you all in the event that we need to do this, so I hope that you have a plan." All right. So, you guys begin checking out the bars and taverns around.
Yeah, what would be the closest, I guess, most popular pub in relation to the blacksmith shop?
There are a couple. I do, and I. This will be again trying to taper back on the warnings and stuff like that. But also, I want you to be aware of Pathfinder having these things in it. Skill challenges are not uncommon in Pathfinder, and they help to move the storyline along and things of that sort. But for example, you want to have the good people that are good at the skill doing the good skill challenge, because if you get so many failures or critical failures or anything of that sort before you get so many successes, something bad could happen. For example, in this instance, if it may not be that your investigation fails, it may very well be that whoever stole these daggers gets wind that you're investigating them and tries to deal with that then, or something along that effect. So,
That sounds like what we want to happen.
well,
Like that.
and again, it'll progress the storyline, maybe not the way that you want it to. So,
You're set to hang wanted posters throughout the city.
you can certainly do these things, and I'm sure that you'll.
Bad guys, we stole daggers.
Yes.
Let us talk to a fireman, start a fire. That's what you said.
Okay,
And again,
I heard that too. I heard that too.
CP, these warnings do nothing.
Nothing.
They did nothing. That said, I'm just trying to advise against if you're trying to, figure out which bar someone's in. If you have everyone just asking around everywhere, then you may accrue all of the failures you need all at once.
What is it? What is the equivalent in Pathfinder for the streetwise, basically, for the
Gather information.
Very various lore skills and persuasion. If I'm not mistaken, let's look up persuasion really quick. 2E. Path.
There's no such thing as
Oh, my apologies. It might be, what is it? Diplomacy. Yes, thank you.
For society.
Well, society can, but it's not all encompassing. So, diplomacy untrained actions is gather information. You canvass local markets, taverns, and gathering places in an attempt to learn about specific individual or topic. Now, you could use society, but looking at society for 2E, let's look at that. Society is, just general recall knowledge about local history, important personalities, legal institutions, and societal structure. Then,
Yeah, that's not gonna help.
Well, since I've spent some time here, and well, to say the least, my time was with many of the good folks here and crawling through many of the establishments, because the pay of the Kingsland in the army was never making it home. I'm sure some of these establishments would be easy for me to give the old nod and wink too. Let's see what we can find.
Absolutely.
I'll use the bardic swagger to both coyly ask about this courier um, while procuring some drinks for my companion. Just something cheap at this point. No expensive drinks itself.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Also, just as we are looking through my sheet, I have both Hobnobber and Clever Cat,
Nice.
which are both used to gather information.
Nice.
Alrighty.
Good too, man. Good too. Because I mean, my specialty is diplomacy, but the sixes that I've rolled for every single roll.
Not proven it to us. Yes, rather than proven it to us, what you think is, but really.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Right. It says Hobnobber, gather information. Exploration activity takes you half as long as normal.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a big plus.
When you
Success or failure.
Honestly,
Right.
13's a failure, but not a critical failure, right?
I'm not. Okay, no, I'm only trained. I'm not a master.
That's it. But you gain that capability later on when you skill those up.
Right. Yeah. So my diplomacy right now is an 8.
All right. You can go ahead and give it a roll. Also, that is a failure there if you want to hero point that with Co.
Oh, did I? Okay. I wasn't clicking. Sorry.
No worries.
On things trying to move around, I wasn't trying to roll.
I was like, what the hell?
Absolutely. You'll just need to click the gather info button.
It wasn't a critical failure, so I'm fine with the failure.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm just looking now and it looks like I've got 2 20s, a 6, a 14, and a 7, and I was just trying to edit my sheet, not actually roll things.
No problem. Go ahead and pull up your sheet, and you should be able to hit diplomacy, and it should roll for you.
Right. So we'll actually do that now.
Okay. A 10 wouldn't be a success. You can always hero point if you'd like.
Sure, why not?
All right.
Let's drag that thing out here.
If not, I can steal it from. There we go. Perfect. Boom.
That is so much better.
That is a critical success. So, you actually ask around, and you just naturally this society seems to almost be a little bit like what you would be right at home with, and between that and your skill at chatting people up, and you do it in twice the or in half the time that anyone else would. And you find out from just a barfly. And by the way, you also, in passing with that, notice that a lot of the bars in the stairs and restaurants and such, they tend to seem like they're owned by foreigners, or at least a lot of the businesses are, by the way. Like some Eldorians, which are like French, some of the folks from the Kingsland, things of that. There are some owners from Sunkissed Isles, but it seems like a lot of these restaurants and bars are especially, whatever, from other areas. But that said, the bar that he tends to frequent is the Black Flagon, which is a sort of upscale bar, but it's got almost like a sophisticated, and it's weird to say a sophisticated pirate theme, but a lot of the folks in the Isles revere the Pirate King, so it's one of the places that is, actually owned and operated by folks from the Sunkissed Isles. So you do learn that in your, travels with some of the bars here.
Alright, I will make sure to relay all that information to everyone.
That said, you guys headed over that way?
I mean, sometimes we would maybe in the future decide to divide and conquer some of this capacity we're given.
Mhm.
Since none of us know the city right now, I think it's best if we all stay together.
No problem.
I was going to suggest that maybe we enter the bar in two separate groups, so as not to attract so much attention.
That's fine. That's a good idea.
Because I'll be useless to you gathering any of this information.
So,
Hang outside.
Hey, you can stay and drink with me, my big friend.
Now that I can do.
I'll be listening for just keeping an ear out if there's any kerfuffle that rises up inside while I just enjoy
There
it.
is no kerfuffles. No kerfuffles around.
Here's my active perception to be listening into what's going on inside the bar to notice something.
Nice.
so again, that's not going to be helping anything with regards to the skill challenge. That's just a
Correct.
general perception check.
It's just if shit hits the fan, I can hear, hopefully I'll hear in time to react.
And typically with that sort of circumstance, if it was vital to you, being able to hear or doing anything of that sort, I would ask for it at the time when it becomes applicable, because that way you don't know that, oh, I've got a 23, so I'm safe or something like that. It would be when it's rolled, it happens. So,
Okay.
but that said, so you guys are headed in multiple groups, then you said? All right. The again, the sort of clientele and the staff are a bit upscale here, and the two of you, even like with you being a man of the clergy and stuff like that, you don't necessarily fit in. And as you go to like sit down at the bar, you can see the bartender's not refusing you service, but they make a bit of a, and the bartender's dressed in like sort of pirate, garb, although like again it's like a black sash, like a silk shirt, a eye patch, and but yeah, but it's like a nicer, like almost what a formal wear would be for them, like if they were trying to impress people or something like that. Posh pirate would be the best way to say it. But you can see that they make a bit of a face as you come up to the bar and say, "What can I do for you, gentlemen?"
When I catch him looking at me like that, I look down at my left sleeve and I brush one of the stains a little bit, like I'm polishing it. And I stare him back. You could serve us some drinks.
Yes, I'm certain that I could. You quickly find out that each of the drinks in here are 3 silver apiece. At the lowest end, by the way.
You may have guessed that this is not the kind of area that we normally frequent. We don't wish to set anyone here at ease, but we could certainly be on our way if we can just have a small conversation as I'll lean in closer.
Very well. If that would expedite your way out of our establishment here, uh, how can I assist you?
Familiar with Luca Balesteros?
Ah, Luca. Well, um, yes. He's over at the end of the bar as he points to a individual that is, yeah, you see the guy he's dressed in a pretty nice leather overcoat. He himself looks like he's wearing like a silk shirt underneath. He is wearing leather pants as well. Like it looks like some of his stuff would just be very nice, effective leather armor. And then in addition to that, he's got a thin blade at his side.
Thank you.
I can't find my gold, so I have no idea if I even have to. So
Likely, but that's a lot of but that's a lot of money.
How much are the waters?
Diet Coke?
The waters are outside in the fountain.
Would it calm you if I let you know that I'm a veteran here, having served in the King's Army, and actually well known for my singing?
Actually, it wouldn't.
Sir, you
Well,
haven't heard my friend sing. So what, the three of us together? Or is Virgil-
Yeah, the three of you are together. I think I don't know if Virgil's with you.
Oh no, I wouldn't have left Virgil.
Oh, okay.
Virgil and us came in separately. You said two different groups, but I assumed we came in after you.
No, no problem. If I imagine because the your relationship with Virgil, he would be with you, then that's fine.
May have asked for a secret perception check to see if Virgil wanders off because of his ADHD.
Yeah, no, I would not have left Virgil.
I was gonna tell Pete to make you do a perception check to see if you catch me walking off, because that would be great. But no, I don't see anything that piques my interest, so I'm definitely standing next to you.
Hmm.
Not paying attention.
My apologies if I broke your guys' plan. I didn't mean to. I thought the rest of us had come in.
Oh no, 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 no! There was no plan. Like Pete literally said, there's various sources of import that you see, but nothing like remarkable catches your eye. So I was like, okay.
Well, no, I meant
No, gotcha.
We were trying not to get involved directly because we were afraid we would hurt the situation. So I don't think I don't have any skills in diplomacy. But yeah, I got a one.
I'll saunter.
No, we'll
over
stay.
to,
The three of us will stay here, but I'll look over. I will take out a gold piece. I'll say 2 drinks, and I want the change.
Certainly, coming right up.
Bringing Virgil with me.
You can see that he doesn't look drunk or anything like that. He's actually, as you guys walk over, he seems to have noticed you, conspicuous by your presence. So,
No intention to be sensible as
hmm and you can see several people that were at that end of the bar like move out of your way to sort of fan out as you can see. Yes, that would be me. My name is Luca. You can see he's sitting a couple feet away from every single one of the bars, even in the nicer districts, still has the captain's chair, by the way, if you recall, for Capitan de la Muerta. So right behind him is like almost the reliquary setup of the captain's chair area.
I'll sit in between the two of them, absentmindedly. After talking.
Yes, Virgil. I think it would probably be best if I offered to buy you a drink, but looking around here. Do you have another watering hole that you like to frequent?
Well, this is actually my favorite, although they may, if I walk out of here with you, they may rethink my patronage. But that being said, uh, no, I can't think of any place I'd like to get a drink. Perhaps we could go for a walk.
That would be
One
fun.
daiquiri, please.
No, Virgil. We have plans. I can't have you slovenly, drunkenly crawling about the town.
I'm sorry.
Come back with a daiquiri. 10 gold, please.
We didn't want it. We just see if you could make it.
But no. So Lucas says, the sooner we get out of here, the better. Let's go.
Well, I'll nudge Kane when I see him.
I'll finish my drink, and then
Oh yeah.
if there was any left of finish that as well.
Your change was brought to you, so
Yeah, and I leave, and there is no.
I'll tip him with a wink.
Oh God!
I am so glad I'm not with that group.
Never coming to this bar again. I don't care.
It is the last campaign all over again. Just everywhere we go, let's just shit on everyone's breakfast cereal.
Hey, for the record, this was not me this time. Just saying.
I mean, that's true.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
wow,
we can still be seen.
The when we get outside, I am typically more diplomatic than this, but I'm also known for being somewhat bold. What is the problem with foreigners here?
what's the problem with foreigners here, or what do you mean? You're asking a very complex question, I think.
It seems that no one was pleased with us entering that establishment, and I can't fathom why, other than we're not from around here.
Look how you're all dressed.
I'm wearing quite elegant clothes for my kind. These are warrior's clothes.
And you brought in these two as well? I mean, again, maybe that, functions at some of the dockside bars, but this is actually a upscale establishment.
I find it fascinating that we were told that you're a courier. You can afford to drink in a place such as this.
I don't take courier jobs over on Stoneside.
So the elder, I can't remember his name.
Torres?
He's saying these silkside jobs pay well.
Must pay very well to simply carry a message from the blacksmith to the jeweler.
Not just them. I'd work for any number of individuals on the stairs.
Well, we're particularly interested in the job you worked for.
Torres.
Torres, thank you. Like what? Antonio, that's why. If it was an A, no. Yeah.
It was.
Antonio and Elric.
Mhm.
We're more interested in your job with Antonio.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that you jumped. I'm glad that you weren't harmed. Or did they?
No.
They hurt you in some way?
It did hurt me, but this was quite a few days ago. I've healed up since then, but you can still he shows the remnants of like a shiner, and you can see like he also like shows you an area where he's had to have his coat mended because it was cut open and such. They jumped me and hit me pretty hard, pretty fast, so it wasn't too much of a fight really, so much as them grabbing the goods, so to speak, and absconding with them. I tried to chase after them, but this definitely seemed to be something where they knew what they wanted and where they wanted to go afterwards.
You said they. How many were they?
There's at least three. I don't know if there's any more than that. I got hit over the head.
You chased them. So I get.
It was the middle of the day. Again,
No reason to cause attention. You don't want to shipment in the night. Yeah, that makes sense.
pretty much. Plus, it's when the most guards are around, all sorts of other things.
Did they take anything else?
No, not even my coin purse.
If you had to guess, how would you think that they knew to wait for you on that path? 3 men ready to pounce on you as you pass by?
Your guess is as good as mine. If I knew, I would have gone after them. I don't like my reputation being in the gutter. Otherwise, I end up.
I dealt with that Shiner in the gutter. You did your best to defend your package.
Were the blades in some sort of case, or how were you carrying them?
I was in a satchel. Leather satchel. So there was a case inside of it, yes.
What's
you
your opinion
show
of
us that
Yeah,
you took?
absolutely. It was, and he begins as you're walking and going through the stairs. He takes you almost on the most direct main street route through from Torres's place to and he stops like he brings you to like a set of fountains in like a courtyard area across from Alaric Gold Hill Jewelers.
look to the look to Luca. What's your opinion of if you know the gentleman via the courier that Alaric uses? Any local scuttlebutt on whether or not this guy's any good?
Difficult to get any scuttlebutt on the dwarves, so to speak. They're almost like those Fultons. They're kind of creepy in that they're kind of being insular and keep to themselves and uh, don't really like dealing with others. If you see them out and about, they're usually at a table by themselves, keeping to themselves. They don't typically fraternize with others. The Gold Hills in particular are, I've met other dwarves around town that are a little bit more laid back, but the Gold Hills are a little bit tight around the collar.
There's Fulton's here too, huh?
Yeah, it's like a creepy
Sorry
cult.
to hear that.
Yeah, well, I don't have to deal with them too much, and thank goodness most of them took a vow of silence.
Luca, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
How did you arrange the pickup? How did Alaric know that you were the courier to come pick up the blades?
Alaric had sent a missive to Torres, and then Torres sent him a missive back that arranged the pickup. And I showed up, and uh, not only did Torres's note indicate who I was, but also I've been a courier back and forth for Torres multiple times. People know that I work for him.
Is it typically the same time? Do you usually agree to pick up your package around noon or first light?
Depends on how valuable the pieces are. And also Torres's instructions. But usually I advise in some capacity on best times and arrangements.
Do you recall hearing any chatter about these magnificent blades being created that would have maybe drawn some attention to them?
Unless Torres tells me, I don't ask any questions about what I'm carrying across the area. In fact, for most of my clients, I don't ask many questions other than, uh, you know, again, the amount that it's worth and how much it's worth to the client is a matter of import because I need to gauge risk and a few other things. But I try to put discretion in as part of my job. So I typically don't ask too many questions. And also, I mean, I'm dealing with Antonio Torres. Like he pulls up his blade, and you can see the maker mark of Torres on it. And he says, "Do you know that this was an heirloom from my father? I mean, Antonio Torres, one of his blades. It's not priceless, but it's an honor to hold something of his."
Well, not to mention the Rodrigo who commissioned the work being deprived of it.
I didn't know anything about a Rodrigo being the one that commissioned it, but now it makes a lot more sense.
So,
Now we're standing near these fountains. This is where you were attacked.
No, I was attacked almost in mid-route.
Show us exactly where you were attacked.
You can see that there's like a
We're near the Gold Hill part.
yeah, you're near the Gold Hills at the moment, but on the map, like where that really long main line is, it's like a street over from there. Like they virtually did it boldly in near daylight, in what normally would be considered one of the worst places to hit somebody at.
And which direction did they run? What part of the city did they run towards? You said you tried to chase them.
I tried to chase them back towards Old Town. They were headed towards the Silk Bridge, but I don't think they used the bridge. I think that they just disappeared as I was rounding a corner. I don't know exactly where they ended up. They could have ended up in a house. They could have ended up in the water for all I know.
Kill us if you know.
Yeah, no, he shows you the corner. It's right off the main drag there.
Thank you.
Hey, can I use perception outside of Alaric's shop to see if there's like a common or a best place for a lookout to be posted if they were?
Yeah, Bill, you and I are taking the exact same thing.
Sure. Um, that the perception would probably be a good skill for it. There's other lores and things of that sort as well, but perception would be the best general skill, I think.
So, yeah, if you want to look that way, I'll look this way.
Whoa.
The first non-six that I've rolled tonight.
The critical success tells you that there's a couple places, like there's actually a restaurant directly across from Alaric's that's just a nondescript, just like sort of cafe that they have outdoor seating at and such. You could literally sit across there and eat for or drink for a couple of hours and watch the comings and goings. There's a couple other taverns and other places around here. I mean, you could go to the rooftops, but then you'd need someone that's got some stealth capability and things of that sort. But there's definitively places where if you wanted to watch Gold Hill's shop, you could very much so easily watch Gold Hill's shop. Also,
Clothing, but where would you be able to, looking around, where would you be able to hide in plain sight or hide such that, people would be drawn attention to if you're walking around masked?
yeah.
Yeah, with your ski mask on.
Oh, so you're looking for a place where you could have stalked here, or something like that.
Well, no, I mean, I was agreeing with Bill on the first piece of it was that I was looking for the lookout. But we have lots of clear, like if they had a plainclothes lookout just to let them know when things were going to happen, that's great.
Mhm.
But they'd also have to have hidden themselves somewhere unless they were walking around with a. I mean, if they're pulling on ski masks in broad daylight here, that kind of stopped the purpose of having the ski masks to be.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They had to have hidden somewhere to pop out. So.
There's some alleyways and some other areas that you recognize that are pretty good. Uh, Most of them are not around Gold Hill Shop. And the other thing, by the way, that you make note of with Gold Hill Shop are there are dwarves in like 70 plus degree heat that are in full plate outside posted Gold Hill Shop, by the way. Yeah, and like Gold Hill's security on his shop is impeccable. Like I talked about some of the merchant companies.
Dwarves every once in a while, like, look at each other and just very quietly go,
They occasionally go hut hut hut. I mean, it's the kind of place that if you pickpocketed from them for too long, they likely would turn on you forever. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Oh.
No, no one recognizes the Gold Hill name. Whatever.
Oh, I did.
Mm.
It's the best. That's all I have to say.
Regardless of all that, um, they do seem like Gold Hill's secure, and also like you see that like you are let into Gold Hill's shop. It looks like a 5-star experience. Like you can see in through the windows from here, and you can see that like individuals that come in, they're let in, they're met by someone at the door, and then they're being let in and shown the cases and things of that sort. So.
So it's
The
like,
funniest part with Kobe from Santos is the funniest part is Kobe from Santos. He said these are the southern gold hills.
So this sounds like the Maui divers I went to in Waikiki. Walk in the door, there's a bunch of people waiting, pilots running their planes. Can I help you? I have boats. I said, good morning. To look at your organ. That was a nice day.
Oh yeah, no, it looks like they have drinks inside for the individuals that are perusing and such, and you actually do recognize that the clan is similar to the Xantolti. They must have gotten sick of the cold at one generation, and either these cousins split off, or who knows.
Why don't we check out? I mean, it's been how many days since the theft?
It's been 4 days at least. Yeah, 4 days.
Yeah. attacked from, someone in that area may have seen something suspicious.
Okay. You guys.
You all agree? I think we should certainly.
Well, it'd be interesting to know, are there any beggars, homeless?
That's what I was thinking as well. But we would have to first find
As though we're
where
south
they were like hiding.
Yeah, I think we're in a part of town where I think the guard might just push them away.
We know where they disappeared. If that helps.
So
Turn the corner.
Rashi, if you were to set up an ambush along this route, where would you choose?
Well, if I was going to go this way, are we still kind of close enough to the docks themselves, or are we kind of like
So,
a bit in there?
so guys, just to indicate where you guys are in the map, is that Torres was somewhere around the T and the H in the stairs,
Yeah. Okay.
and the Gold Hills are on the other side of the stairs towards the I and the R. So, whereas there's water nearby, which is the Silk River that goes through here, and then it comes down into and feeds into the.
You're saying they kind of like ran this way, sort of.
Yeah, they possibly went this direction or whatever it is. They were not headed towards the docks. They were headed towards Old Town. If that's where they were going, Lord knows where they could have gone.
Right.
But go ahead.
So I'm just helping me to deal with my sailor background of where we could be the place to hide, or my thief background of where would be the best place to jump someone from, or to stalk someone from.
Sailor would be more about like hiding a ship around a cove or something like that, or something to that effect. A sailor typically, even in a port city, a sailor might know like the best places to go to for whatever, or something like that, but they wouldn't necessarily know like how to set up an ambush in a port city. I mean, unless there was some very specific set of skills that the sailor would have. But
So this would just be my thievery.
so thievery is actually not so much thievering lore or anything like that. That's palming an object, that's stealing, that's disabling device. There would be like lore underworld or something like that would probably be applicable. Just because like if you look down the list of like lore, because they have like 20 to 30 different types, you'll find underworld and a few other things. Also, like warfare would be applicable with regards to ambushes, scouting, hunt, like the various different types of lore could perhaps, in a pinch, other skills could be used, but overall, thievery wouldn't be used to set up an ambush unless you were setting a trap, like an actual physical trap.
Well, then I'll just look for best places to hide then, and that'd be simple stealth.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch just because of the way that the skills are, but overall, I'll allow it in this particular instance.
Well, I can't say that I know the best place to stand and do whatever, but as far as not being seen is concerned, I think that, well, this might work, and I suggest locations to look from.
You begin to consider where you would have hidden or where you would have snuck or anything of that sort. And you sort of begin to walk through some tracks with folks and trying to figure out where it could have come from. There's, unfortunately, there's, well, and also in your experience from here, even with the failure, it's very difficult to find areas to literally stealth approach here. So tough to say if they were trying to hide unless it was like right before this guy came out. Well, it's not something like you could have gone from alleyway to alleyway.
Right, well, at least I can say that if anyone was coming this way, it'd be difficult to hide.
I think that's Bill's typing.
Eating the shit out of that keyboard.
Noise suppression sometimes helps with that, but doesn't always cover all of it.
No, I think it's because I had to change my hotkey to the space bar. That's
Uh, But yeah, Luca goes. I mean, if there's anything else you need me for, that's fine. I was just getting a drink and before my next job, but I actually do have business about the stairs. So if there's any other way I can help you, of course I will. Torres is a great client of mine, and I want to get this taken care of.
So, Luca, if I wanted to gamble, you familiar with any of the gambling spots, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a couple of places around here, but the games are higher stakes and they're more rigged than you'd want to play at. If you were looking for a good game, I would head over to Old Town. Uh, Forbidden Coast is probably best, and you get a show as well, so it's not bad.
Show, you say. Any idea if they extend credit?
Um, I'm sure that they would.
All right, boys, I don't know. Where do you want to take it from here?
Still haven't talked to.
I like the idea of seeing if, given the areas they may have hidden, see if any of the street folks may know or have seen anything. Um,
Had to
maybe we
find
can.
the next step too.
The one thing that I did sort of note as you guys came into the stairs is that it seems like as you go further into the stairs, there's less and less riffraff. They're not like openly being beaten about the streets and being pushed out, but just like you guys found it very uncomfortable to be in that bar, you look around and there is not like even like as far as like a courier, what would be considered quote unquote a lower paying job, that's Luca. And he's probably the one of the poorer people that you've seen around here.
If there's no riffraff, there's maids or servants or horsemen or
Oh yeah,
in a society like this, I am certain that we can find someone who would have reason to be taking a break in an alleyway or looking out a window in the back.
yep, you're 100% right. Absolutely, they would be very similar in station to Luca.
By riffraff, I was a little bit too specific. I just meant simply someone who would have had eyes in a place that may be willing to talk.
Certainly. So, how would you like to go about?
Well, we haven't yet found where we think they were hiding, correct? Like, we did not, even though we've perceived at least a few good locations of where they could have been scouted.
Hmm.
They're too public for it to be like, hey, did you see somebody acting suspicious here? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They were too. They picked too easy of a spot to have the visual lookout. So what we really need to do is try to find where could they have possibly been hiding to see if that would lead us to anyone who saw something suspicious.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there had to have been at least a couple of witnesses.
Well, not necessarily, but that's what I'm hoping to find. I'm hoping to find someone who would give us details, or at least a clue on where we could search next for these.
You just see three guys running down the street. Where did they go?
Sure.
Well, let's see if we can first trace to where they started. Where did they go? Um, we can chase that. We can chase that next. Does anyone else have on how we could figure out where they were hiding? I guess I could try another perception.
Well, we know where the attack came from. So we know that corner. So standing on that corner, just looking around you, where's the?
Where could they have come out from that? Very good idea.
Exactly. This was just stand there and look around. This is the simplest way to start.
I don't see what I can see here.
And then also, while we're standing there, we can notice there's somebody that looks like he's there all the time. Somebody's sitting on the corner. Somebody's sitting in the gutter.
Looking for a lookout.
So, while
No, we're not looking for lookout. What we're looking for is if
we're
Bad.
standing, if we're on this border and we're a courier that you would think would be able to be semi-aware of his surroundings, not just sort of strolling along. If I'm on this corner, where would be a approach that three guys could get to me without me spotting them until the last second?
So,
What did you see, Arashi?
so with Arashi, the what Arashi sees is that whereas you didn't see too much as far as okay, there's not a lot of places to approach with stealth or anything like that. You did find a number of hash marks alongside a nearby wall in the alleyway there. Um, you don't know what these hash marks mean, but like you see, like it's almost like you would be counting down numbers, but then there's also other stuff here that you just don't understand what it is.
Oh, take a look over here, everyone. It appears as though it's some kind of hash mark carved in. It's, I don't know what it means, but it's clearly not meant to be for public viewing.
Hey, Virgil,
Yes?
I'm sure you have a will and parchment with you.
Of course.
See these markings on the wall? Can you write them all down in your book exactly as you see them there?
Yeah, sure. In 1 second. What do you guys think they are? They sound like a cipher, some sort of like local code, almost like a hobo code.
I think it's a numbering system to me. It looks like to me.
Decipher writing with coded messages is under society, by the way.
Oh, really? Well, let me see if my societal self would pick up on this.
Really society, I have a society.
So, decipher writing is when you encounter particular archaic or esoteric text, may require you to do decipher writings. It's also typically for writing about magic or science, but also you attempt to decipher complicated writing or literature on an obscure topic, society, like decipher that coded message, text that's written in an incomplete or archaic form, or in some cases, text in a language you don't know. So,
So Pete, while the rest of the group is at the text in the alley or whatever, I'm gonna walk away from there and try to see where I would be able to see them from. You know what I mean?
okay.
So like across the street or up around the corner, you know, like where would anyone who was out here doing anything that day be able to see these guys?
Quick check over these. Arashi, you think that they were counting something or something like that. Virgil actually is able to tell roughly he's seen this sort of thing before. Not only is there tick marks like they were counting something, but some of these things indicate time.
Yeah, break that down.
All right, yeah.
But that would indicate that this is either some sort of common code, would typically be associated with thieves' cant or something similar, but you're not entirely positive if it is or not.
Yeah, I can't get the whole thing. I can just tell you that these are like, well, yes, they're keeping kind of separate, but there is some sort of time aspect. I have no idea what they're trying to do.
Just try to copy it as best you can. So
Oh, I've already got it. I both wrote down like the tick marks as best I can, and also translate it into numbers.
We did
It
that
looks like
rather
the numbers, like counting them, isn't that like 420, 69? I mean,
Oh yeah, no, that 100%. This the signature by Sephiroth 420, triple X blazing. Yeah. Favorite joke. Or is this part of our investigation into the blades? Oh wow, cool. I've been wondering so much now.
So is there any business or anything that's got a clear vantage point to where the rest of the group is now?
To where they are, no. That alleyway is like in between several buildings. It'd be pretty easy as far as like a blind spot from the nearby businesses.
they pick the best spot to wait.
but is it also possible that they timed their attack instead of
Is it like 4 hashes and then a timestamp, or is it like hash timestamp, hash timestamp?
There's like maybe 4 to 6 messages here. So, take from that what you will.
They may situation. You know, those guys are out faster at 2 o'clock.
Can you see Gold Hill Shop?
No, no, no. This is like blocks and blocks away. This is right off. Again, Gold Hill Shop is around the I and the R here, and this alleyway is right off the main drag of coming down from the arch.
Just wondering if they were timing the guards at the shop.
Oh, yeah, my gut, and granted most of you are better and more experienced than me in this. But this is basically messages left for the guys that did the actual attack. That was
Or
my-
this is or this message is their like a tracking system for when they rotate.
or with a simple
It's just
drop. We're going to
just-
we'll guess ourselves to death. But we think we probably found the spot that they were waiting.
yes, but does this maybe also imply that maybe they didn't know what they were?
Well, they
Maybe
could have told us.
recently.
They could have just been hirelings.
Arashi. I mean, you're doing your best. It's just that little bit more would do. Arashi.
So Arashi.
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 There you go. All right, let me go check out this other corner. All right, I will go down to the other corner and see if I notice.
Don't, please don't even roll, because you'll waste the roll. You notice nothing.
Okay.
Could be some of the best bits of security is that you just tell three people you've hired, go here, you find a message, do what the message says.
Right.
At a certain time, jump this guy.
I'll head back up the a block in the other direction. You know, basically checking the corners at a radius to see if of 1 block to see if there's anything similar.
Real, that would imply that they knew exactly what time he was going to be walking by there.
And that's what we're guessing. That's what I'm saying. That's where my guess came from. Of these may be blind assailants because this timing, this code could equate to just simply when you see a courier at this time, yank them, take their stuff, drop it off.
That is the assumption I'm making. That they were told that this information to them at a particular time. Grab this guy.
Let's see who may have seen
what Luca was telling us, though.
What's that say?
He seemed to think that there was no specific time set aside.
Yeah. Well,
Pick up these daggers.
if anyone could see who was here. Let's see if we can start using this. This clue of this code may become clearer in the future.
that's
Let's
if
at
you
least-
believe. That's if you believe Luca.
Exactly.
I can't. I'm sorry. Again.
No, but
I was going to simply say I have a real tough time believing that just by being a courier, he's making enough coin to live in the lifestyle he likes.
Agreed.
But I don't know what they charge for couriers. Of course, now in my mind, I'm seeing transporter.
It seems to me if you're a
neither-
courier, you
neither
lose
speed
your
enough.
merchandise. You'd be responsible for that.
He's not
and we
responsible
haven't
for it.
we haven't seen enough reason for to either exonerate Luca or to blame him. So we'll keep that on the books. But let's see if maybe there's someone who saw something now that we know where they were hiding.
They should have seen some people congregating, possibly.
Well, we know that it's not in an obvious spot. So I was now more interested in. He said they ran
How is
down
this-
towards the Silk Bridge. What I'd be more curious now is to walk in that direction and see is there anything there that would be open or that someone would a particular huckster, particular merchant, or particular beggar that's along that route that's there every day, multiple hours a day that might have seen these people running past.
Do you enjoy walking a lot? Because why don't we just finish up what we're doing here before we move on? Why don't we find out? May have seen people here in this alley. What kind of establishments are around this corner anyway?
Uh,
Is there
there's a couple of merchants and merchant stands. Also, there's some open air areas as well nearby in some of the alleyways and such. So it's almost as like you can browse some of the things outside and then sort of go inside, especially some airier clothes, things of that sort. So go ahead and you can certainly, whomever is gathering the information can go ahead and roll a diplomacy.
you seem to have a way with speaking with people. Do you think any of those anybody working for the merchants who might have had wandering eyes during the day would speak with you?
Let's see how silver my tongue is currently.
So that's not an abject failure, but that's a failure.
How are you deceiving? How are you deceiving? First off,
Oh, that's deception. I'm sorry.
No problem.
That is the wrong button.
That's the wrong option.
Diplomacy.
There you go. So, with a 15 diplomacy, you actually do get some information. Asking around.
I love that you have, by the way, I love that you have hobnob. Absolutely love it. I took that on one of the characters that played. That's silly kind of skill.
Well, you know, he was a bartender for a while.
That's awesome. That even makes more sense. Yeah.
And there I whispered the information that you were able to learn by asking around.
I will tip them a little bit of coin. Thank them for the information.
Oh, thank you. And they go off. It was again like a housekeeper that was browsing through the bazaar area.
Well, gentlemen, it seems that one of the individuals had a tattoo of a black rose. Did they say where the tattoo was?
Arm.
On their butt, they were rooting for people.
I'm sorry, Pete, I didn't hear what you said.
It was on their arm.
So now we just need to figure out who in this place might have tattoos.
Pirate? Yeah, the entire island.
Society talking about the Black Rose was like a sand story or something.
Society would work. There would be a number of different skills that could work for this.
Okay, maybe.
Weird knowledge, never.
One moment, a critical success on that gives you this.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm not even touching that one.
Pete just boots me out of the game and doesn't let me back in. Kicks me out of the server.
You know too much.
You know too much.
There's a new journal item for you under notable NPCs and groups.
That's the one that says never come back.
We have been asked to move.
Did you say it was a Black Rose?
Black Rose, yes. On the Ellis farm.
Oh, that. Okay. Yeah. We need like. Pete, is there a nearby like cafe or like a small dining establishment?
Yeah, there totally are. Again, most of them would probably balk at you guys coming in. Unless it was done gracefully or, by one of your better dressed party members.
Is Virgil trying to go in there and like get a glass of tea or a cup of tea, take a sip from it, say, spit it out, and say, "Did you spit a black rose?"
No, you see like a kind of like more of the anxious Virgil, like we need to go to like the security office. I have to whisper this.
What's the code of silence?
We go back to the alleyway.
I was going to say, we have an alleyway that no one can get to.
I didn't even think about that. I think that's a good plan. I would like some tea though. That's not.
Tea later.
All right. The Black Roses, they're thieves and assassins. It's a guild. They operate here. They mostly, it's out of like gambling dens and brothels, and like they have tattoos that indicate their membership. This is some serious shit. Pardon my language.
Did you say gambling dens, brothels?
Yes.
Kind of like what that Rodrigo bought the daggers.
Yes, the place that he runs is the gambling den.
Does he?
Yeah. He does.
Oh. Why would he have his own dagger stolen? I guess maybe because he didn't want to pay the debt.
By the way, Coe pulls out one of his small little books that he likes to write in, and he writes down that Virgil cursed again.
What a perception to see if I notice this. If you're okay with that?
Absolutely. He's not trying to hide it because you notice it has like to your parents. But
Oh, I thought my initial response was like, I don't know your character's wife's name, but like don't you dare tell Bray. like it matters to Virgil that she knows. Like, don't you tell her that.
well, that gives us a better place to check out.
You mean like a coffin?
I'm not sure how wise it would be to just show up at one of these guild safe houses.
Well, for business, probably perfectly fine. But it depends if we want to ask questions.
You're not going to a guild safe house. You're going to a brothel.
They may be the
It
same
also
thing.
And
it
again,
also explains the why someone would hit such a valuable target.
well, if the guy wanted the daggers, he didn't want to pay for them. That brand, we don't want to lead with that assumption because it'll start us down the wrong thinking. It's not a bad hypothesis at this point.
Or if someone wanted society at large to think that a Rodrigo decided not to pay.
That's the thing we got to avoid. We'll start spitting hails into it. That's
Yes,
why
it
we
is.
want to do that.
It is also possible there is some sort of political reason why he would want these stolen as opposed to purchasing them.
It could also be a coincidence that they both do brothels and gambling houses.
But maybe Grail's point is now the best one to follow.
Yes, perhaps we should go interrogate all of the women at the brothel.
Yes, I'm all for that.
I don't mind.
I thought Grail's
The
point
bottom
was
of
to
water.
follow the path of which the assailant
thought that got tossed by the wayside when the idea of brothel came into play. I still want to do what you just said, go there, walk along and see if we can figure out more of the direction they went.
Well, I mean, I think that's what Co's suggesting, is that we head in the general direction they ran and look for the first brothel in sight.
As they say in the Sunkiss Islands, ¿por qué no los dos?
Well,
All right.
Gabriel said that, not Virgil.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like that you guys are going to head that direction and start heading towards brothels, and that's a great time to pick up next game.
Yay.
So 200 XP to everyone for their investigation into the Bladesmith's dilemma with regards to the missing blades that were stolen, and we'll continue the investigation in 2 weeks. Let me make sure that that's not coinciding with any major holiday. Oh, the 21st should be fine.
Still a good one. And are we still good for the Magfest week, or are we playing right before Magfest?
I will likely be, well, at least I would like to be down there. Actually, we usually head down on Wednesday, don't we?
Yeah.
We will play it by ear, and I'll figure that out on the 21st because I may be like too scrambled and packing and all that other sort of stuff. Because
Right.
unfortunately, if I was playing off the seat of my pants or off of storyline that I had just written in stone, I'd be perfectly fine. But unfortunately, with Roll20, it requires a degree of preparation that I may not have the time to do on that particular day. But
We'll figure it out.
yep, absolutely.
Just FYI before we all break, because I far lately and I can't remember who I sent information to about this. This Saturday coming up is my 40th annual Gagliardi tree trimming, which we are going to have. Last year we had an outside version, Mike can tell you about it, but I've been able to uninterruptedly have this event